to problem set lesson 16. 1A. Says divide, draw number discs to show your thinking for A and C. You may draw discs on your personal whiteboard to solve the others if necessary. So 1A and C, we're going to be looking for the discs. So I start with this number. My calibration's way off. Okay, so the number is 500 divided by 10. How many hundreds do I have? How many hundreds? 5. So I'm going to draw a disc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much does each of those discs represent? How much are they worth? They're each worth 100. And what am I supposed to divide by? 10. And if I divide by 10, how many columns over am I going? 1 column over. So if I divide by 10, I need a smaller marker, obviously. So I divide each of these by 10. What will I put in the next column over? What is 100 divided by 10? 10. If you think about it this way, guys, this is what makes this part easy. If I divide by 10, I'm going 1 column over, so all my numbers are going to go right here. If I divide by 100, how many columns do you think I'm going to go over? 2, so I'll put my dots here. What's 1 divided by 1? 1, so I'm going to put 1 dot here, 1 dot here, 1 dot here, 1 dot here, 1 dot here. What's my final answer? Here's my new number right here. Hold on. Because I just divided this out, so I'm done with this section right here. What do I have left? As far as discs go, what do I have left? What do you think, Gabby? Okay, so you look at what you have left. I have how many in this column? 5. How many do I have in this one? 0. So 500 divided by 10 is 50.
Since it's kind of like multiplying, like if you multiply 500 times 10, you just add the 0. So when dividing, since you're dividing, can't you just take off the 0?
It's possible we might get to something like that today. It's possible. But remember, for A and C, you have to show the chart. So you're going to do a little thing on your chart. A is 50. So the next one says 12,000 divided by 100, and I don't have that, do I? No, I don't have 1,000. I need to get my new chart. So 12,000. How many thousands do I have? How many thousands? What number's in the 10,000s place? Sorry, I do have 12,000s, but I have 10. How about if I do it this way? This way I'm not getting confused. You guys have them on your desks already. This is 1,000. Get rid of that. There. And then at some point I need to find that thing on my computer. Okay, so we have 12,000. So how many in the 10,000s did you say? What numbers in the 10,000s, please? Okay, we have 1. And how many do we have in the thousands, please? Nathan? 2. And then we have nothing in the hundreds and nothing in the tens and nothing in the ones place. But it says to divide by 100. So how do you think I'm going to do this? How do you think I'm going to do this?
Divide 10,000 divided by 100 and 2,000 divided by 100.
Okay? So you could do it that way where you start at the front, but if you do it that way, you probably want to do something like this then. Put it down below so you don't get confused. You could do it that way, or you could start in the thousands place, but you're going to divide by 100. So where's your answer going to go? Where's your answer going to go? Not in the hundreds place, but how many places over? 2 places over. So I have each disk equals 1, right? If I divide by 100, there's 1 column over. Here's the next one. That's where my answer is going to go. This is divide by 100. Here's 1 column. There's the next column. And this one's divide by 100. Here's 1 column. There's the next. Now, this part may be a little confusing, but the rest of it, easy cheesy. So, how many do I have now in the hundreds place? How many do I have?
1.
I have 1. 1 in the hundreds. How many do I have in the tens place? 2. So 12,000 divided by 100 equals, I have nothing here. 120. Well, let's look at this. Our answer is 120. What if we did this? I'm going to break my neck on those books. What if we did something like this? We have 12,000, so we have, divided by 100? So we've drawn it on our chart, and we already know, like little smarty pants over here said about the multiplying, we have 2 zeros on top of each other, and we already know that if there's 2 zeros when you multiply, you add 2 zeros, right? Well, what happens, do you think, if you divide? Okay, we're going to play like this doesn't have a decimal here because I just didn't have a chart like yours today. I need to find a chart, so there's no decimal there. Okay, so if you write the numbers on top of each other like this, if there's a 0 on top of a 0, guess what you get to do? Erase it. So you would erase those 2 extra zeros. What am I left with? $120. How's that for easy? So if the zeros are on top of each other, you can erase them. So I want you to try B, D, E, and F by doing it that way. So let's see how that would look. We'll do B together. Let's see, 360. Put the zeros on top of each other. And what do I have left? How easy is that? Or you can even look at the number. There's 1 0 here. There's 1 0 there. Get rid of the 0. I like when they're easy like this, but I have a feeling we're going to get into more complicated, probably the next lesson, maybe I would say. Okay, so do D, E, and F. Try those. Just stack the two numbers on top of each other. Cross out how many zeros you have on top of each other. Give you about 3 minutes to finish those, and then we'll move to the next step. I knew you guys would get this stuff. Okay, now this next one, though, we're no longer dividing by 10 or 100. We're actually adding a number to it. And this is the part I like about Engage New York, because this, the place value was all supposed to be review, so that's why we all struggled. But I like how they break it down. They show you step by step. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to add a number to the front. And then my assumption is then the next lesson will be we're going to add numbers to the back also, but we're going to just do powers of 10 first. So they say, I'm going to go ahead and start with B, 12,000 divided by 300 is the same as 12,000 divided by, what do I multiply by to get 300? 100. So if I do 100 times 3 to get to 300, then it'd be 100 and divide by 3. So what they're saying to do first, which I like the way they do this too, is they just break it down. 12,000 divided by 100, if we do the little thing that I just showed you, or you just look at it, there's 2 zeros in 100, so get rid of these 2 zeros, and what are you left with? So you're left with, but don't forget the next part, to divide by 3. See, it's easy the way they do this, isn't it? So now we have 120 divided by 3. Remember, you can always cover the 0 and divide. So what's 12 divided by 3? 12 divided by 3 is 4. Don't forget your 0. Add it back on. So 12,000 divided by 300 is 40. So in your little box, if you don't have space, you might want to use a sheet of paper. You don't have to worry about the sheet of paper right now, but you will need it for homework so I can see what you're doing. So you would break it down first by distributing, remember the distributive property? We did 100 times 3 equals 300. Yes, ma'am.
Could it work, like, I was watching how you did it, and could you go, like, I'll go on to the next one. Well, I'll go to F. It says 500,000 divided by 7,000. Couldn't you just think that 7 times 8 is 56, and then take off the 0, so it's 560?
Yep, you could. But on B, C, D, E, F, well, all the way through I, they want you to do this process. This way, you can visualize it. This way, maybe people who don't know how to just look at it can do it this way. So do it this way on through I, and then on parts where you don't have to do that, you can do what pops in your mind, and you can do it that way, okay? Yes, it's very good observation. So let's try the next one. C. 12,000 divided by 3,000 is the same as 12,000 divided by what? Mandy? 1,000 and, okay. Now remember, it's also the same as, you're going to look at the zeros in 1,000. How many zeros do I have? 3. So I'm going to underline these 3 so I don't get confused, because some numbers have a whole bunch of zeros. Then you're using whiteout like I do all the time. Then I'm left with 12 divided by 3. So what's the answer? Everybody? This is easy, isn't it? Are you getting it? Okay, how about do D, E, and F just like this with your neighbor? I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. Okay, look at your problem sets, guys. On C, you have 4. D, 8,000. E, 800. F, 80. Okay, look at number 3 on the problem set. It says the floor of a rectangular banquet hall has an area of 3,600 meters squared. The length is 90 meters. So first thing you need to do is draw a rectangle. And we know that this whole thing equals and they were nice to us today. They didn't make us convert anything. So the length is 90 meters. The question is, what's the width? How do you think I'm going to find that? How do you find area?
Well, it's really just like the lighting.
Well, how do you find area to begin with?
You multiply the length times width.
Okay, you do length times width, but we don't know what the width is. So how are we going to find the width? Go ahead.
You're going to divide 90 by 2,600. You could just do 36 divided by 40.
Number 24. How do you get this number? 9 times what? 9 times 10. So we're going to do opposite. If we did 9 times 10, now we're going to do divide it. Remember? Then you're going to look. If I divide, I want to divide by this number first. So I do divide by 10. There's a 0, and I'm left with 360 divided by 9. Forget about the 0 right now. We'll just bring it straight down. And what's 36 divided by 9? 4. So what is the width of the banquet hall? Camden? 40 what? 40 meters. It's not squared. Okay, because it's just one side. If it was meter times meter, then you get squared because you have meter happening twice. Yes, ma'am. No, because we're dividing it out. On which page? Which one are you talking about? 2e, so it'd be 100 divided by 7.
Why would this be dividing, like 100 divided by 3?
Because it's like this. If you do a regular math problem, it would start with, first you start with this. So 3,600 divided by 9. And it's in the tens place, so you would also divide by 10. Because it's multiplication, so you would do the opposite. 10 times 9 equals 90, but if we multiply it, we're going to end up with a bigger number, right? You can't do that because your goal is when you divide, it gets smaller. So then it would have to be you divide by 9, you divide by 10, because 9's in the tens place. Does that make sense or not? Yay? Nay? Is it? No? Is it? Okay. We'll make sure it makes sense. I don't want to go off and... Okay, now this one is a little different. This B. A square banquet hall has the same area. So the area of a square banquet hall, which that looks like a rectangle, is 3,600 meters squared. What's the length? What's a square? So we know, what do we know about squares? Connor? They have 4 sides, and what's special about the 4 sides? They're all the same. Even though mine looks like a rectangle, they're all the same. So here's the question. What times what equals 3,600? Well, we already have numbers, right? Right? Uh-huh. Our number right here is 36. Anyone know what times what equals 36? It's also known as the square root. Chance? So 6 times 6 equals 36. What do you think I could do to separate those zeros so that, because I can't put 600 on one side, could I? What can I do? Can I put 600 on one side? Because 600 times 600, that would give me, and then I have more than what I started with. So what can I do? I have 2 zeros left. What can I do with that? Tariana, what do you think? How do I get those 2 zeros back? If I have this, I have 2 zeros, right? That's how I get 2 zeros. So what do I need to do with my problem to end up with 2 zeros?
Like, when you take off the zeros,
Uh-huh.
you have more than you started with, so you take however many off equals the number you started with, so in this case you'd be taking off 2.
You take off 2?
Then you add the 2 zeros, and it's only 2, and that's what you started with.
So with this, could I break it down like that? Take the 2 zeros and just split them? Could I? Yeah, I could. This would be one of those, I would say probably, you know how you used to do the guess and check when you were little? Did they used to have you do that? that's how I would solve it. I would see that I have 600, I have 2 zeros, so I'm going to take the 6 off and distribute the zeros. Right? So I have length times width. Yeah. Exactly. So if you took the 60 times 60, you would have 3,600 meters squared. That's right. So you have 2 zeros. I just pulled the 6 down because we have to find out the both sides. And that's one of those word problems where you just have to think it through, you know? I mean, that's just the way I solved it. And then I tested it out to make sure that 60 times 60 equals 3,600. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's meters squared. But we want to know what each side equals. You know, when you have the sides, you would just say meter and then meter. Because then meter times meter would be squared. This times this. I haven't solved the C yet. I don't know if I want to even mess with that one. No, we're not gonna exit out. I'm gonna solve it. I want you guys right now though to start your homework. Well, I just haven't solved it yet. Because you know I have to solve all these before you guys do. So. Okay, lesson 16 homework. A through F, I want you to just do this with your paper. Stack the numbers. Stack the numbers so you can cross out your zeros. And then write the answer. A through F on homework. On 2, on A through F, you're going to use the same process that they used on A. It's good to just practice. A's already done for you, so that's nice. Don't worry about G, H, and I, because I figure if you can get A through F, you can do G, H, and I also. Do the word problem. 3.
What about G, H, and I? Do you do that? No.
Some of you need some bonus points because you're not paying attention when we go over this stuff, and then you're making minus right now. So you may want to log on to Skyward and look at your grades because I've updated them, and they're not good, some of them. So B is bonus. B is bonus.